Hey guys, it's Dr. May. How are you? I hope things are good with you guys. I was cleaning out my office the other day and I came across a photocopied book chapter that I had read like a while ago and forgot about. And I realized how much I liked it. So I decided to make a PowerPoint of it and I want to share it with you because I think you might find it interesting and helpful, especially if you're in a couple, okay? Because it kind of gives you a sense of where you're at in the healthiness of your relationship. All right. So let's see here. Okay. So this is called 5 Ways Intimate Partners Relate. Okay. So it's kind of like a scale. And there's the 5 different ways are going to kind of progress from the most unhealthy to the most healthy. So you could try to figure out where you're at and think about the next step and how you could move there. So you could kind of inch your way to a healthier style of relating with your partner. All right, here we go. Okay, so level 5, they call paradox. Okay, so this is the most painful way of relating. And it's very related to a disorganized attachment style. And you can look at my video to find out more about that, but it's associated with trauma, history, and so forth. So in this style of relating, being close feels scary and being separate feels scary. So both of them are uncomfortable states to be. And every time you try one and you bounce to the other, they both feel uncomfortable in their own way. So in the sense, like when you get too close to somebody, there might be this fear that you're going to be engulfed by them in some way, or smothered, or very uncomfortably, taken over by them. And you're going to lose your sense of self. And you're not going to be sure where you end and where the person begins. And they might intrude in a way that feels toxic or uncomfortable or invasive. And so that feels really bad. And so when you feel that way, you might say, well, okay, I'm just going to pull away. Okay, I'm going to try to feel safe by pulling away. But when you feel too alone, that feels frightening too. It's almost like I'm just going to fall apart because I'm by myself and I don't know who I am by myself. And maybe I'm alone with some really painful feelings and experiences, and it's not comfortable to be in that place either. So I don't know where to go, because when I'm close, it's bad, and when I'm alone, it's bad, right? And that's a really tough place to be, okay? So that's level 5. Level 4, they call projective identification. Okay, so this is like a big psychology word, but don't be too scared of it. Projection is basically like, there's parts of myself that I don't acknowledge, or I'm not too aware of, or it was parts of myself that were never really acceptable for me to have when I was growing up. And so instead of recognizing them in myself, I see them more easily in other people. So for example, if I was not really allowed to be needy, or I wasn't allowed to be dependent, or I wasn't too allowed to be close to people when I was a kid, I don't really own that part of myself. Maybe it's just okay to be alone, or vice versa, okay? And so in a couple, people kind of split, right? So one person's okay with being close, and the other person's okay with being alone or autonomous, but it's kind of like different people have different roles, okay? So let's say the woman is okay with being close, and she pursues the husband, wanting a closer relationship. And when she pursues him, he freaks out and feels engulfed, and he pulls away and wants to be very autonomous. And so you kind of split along these lines, okay? And there's other ways of polarizing as well, okay? So some examples are, maybe one person in the couple is allowed to be competent, the one who's in the know, the one who pays the bills, the one who knows about things, and the other one is the one who's like, oh, okay, tell me more about that, and a little bit less competent, okay? But that's split too. Maybe one person's a really emotional person, and one person's a really reasonable mind, logical person. And that's another split, okay? One person is very strong, the other person's much weaker. One person's very angry and the other person's very passive. So there's different splits that could happen as well. But the idea is that it's impossible to feel both in this kind of a relationship. You're either one or the other. And you maintain contact with that unowned part of yourself by seeing it in your partner. So if I'm okay with being close but not being alone, I maintain my contact with the part of myself that needs autonomy by relating to my partner who's very autonomous. okay? So this could also create a pursuer-distancer type of relationship where the closeness person's pursuing the other one and the other one's running away, all right? Okay, hope that makes sense. Okay, so level 3, they call this one conscious splitting. So here, under certain circumstances, the couple behaves like a level 4 couple. So they behave with this projective identification, okay? But when things calm down and they're a little less emotional or a little less, wrapped up in their dynamic, they're able to reflect a little bit and realize what they're doing. So they're able to realize, like, let's say, although usually I'm the one who's the pursuer, the one who's after the closeness, sometimes I can realize, you know what, part of me kind of does need some space too, right? Or let's say the person who's the autonomous one, who's always pulling away, sometimes can admit in a calm moment, like, yeah, I also would like a connection, right? So you're starting to own both parts, but not all the time, just occasionally, right? But the insight is beginning to brew. So the level 3 is kind of like a transitional phase, okay? So what you're transitioning to is level 2, which is called tolerating ambivalence. So the ambivalence is owning both sides of the dialectic, right? So I can be close and I can be distant, and both can be possible. And the conflict between closeness and distance, I realize, is happening within myself, okay? It's not just happening between me and my partner, it's also inside of me. And I could own that a little bit more, okay? The one key about this level, though, is that to me, it might feel that the closer I am, when I'm close, I'm losing some separateness. And when I'm separate, I'm losing some closeness. So they're both not allowed to be fully there. It's kind of like a sliding ruler. Like if I'm on a scale, the more close I am, the less separate I am. And the more separate I am, the less close I am. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like not quite a zero-sum game, but something to that effect, right? But they're able to recognize both needs. That's a really positive step, and discuss them with each other, right? So with my partner, I'm able to talk about my conflict between sometimes I need closeness and sometimes I need separateness, and maybe I'm getting better at articulating that need. So instead of blowing up at somebody when they're getting too close or begging someone and crying about them pulling away, I'm able to kind of see that conflict going on, right? And see, yeah, sometimes I feel this way and sometimes I feel that way, okay? Okay, so level 1, what we're all striving for, this is called integrated, right? So here, being separate and close are both safe and gratifying, right? So this is very different from level 5, where they are both terrifying. Now they're both safe, they're both pleasurable, they're both okay to have, and they both could fully be there without one taking anything away from the other, okay? So being close supports being a distinct and separate person, and being separate supports a sense of closeness, right? So for example, right, because I'm able to safely have a close relationship without feeling engulfed and feeling satisfied in my close relationship with my partner, when I go off into the world and I do other things that are separate, such as maybe a career or a hobby or some other interests or friends, I'm able to feel secure in that because I know I have this secure base with my partner in that close relationship, right? And then when I'm out there pursuing my own stuff, my own interests by myself, I take that and bring it back to my relationship, and it enriches the relationship because I bring what I've learned on my own back together, and it enhances our connection, okay? So both states are easily okay. So the conflict is usually just around like, what are we doing? Like it's about an activity to be engaged in rather than whether it's actually okay to be close or distant, right? So, maybe today my husband wanted me to go out to lunch, but I was actually thinking about taking a walk in the park by myself. So maybe we're going to negotiate what activity we're doing, but it's not a debate about whether it's okay to do one or the other, because they're both okay. Okay? So that's what we're striving for. Okay? So to be a whole person that meets another whole person, and both people are okay with closeness and separateness, and then they come together. That's a really healthy, integrated relationship. Okay? And that's it. It's not a whole big thing, but it's kind of interesting to think about. Actually, one more thing. I forgot this one last slide I forgot to show you. Just for your future reference. So I got it from this book called Intimate Partners by Maggie Scarf. I read it a while ago, but I remember really liking it. And the scale that I presented to you, she cites from a guy named Stuart Johnson. Okay, so just to give fair credit to everyone, but it's a very interesting book. So if you want to know more about your relationship, couple stuff, go check it out. Okay. All right. So that's it. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys soon. All right. Bye for now.